In today's video, we're putting a food myth to the test, the idea that some restaurants may give you a lower grade of steak if you order it well done because you won't be able to taste the difference. Guys, if you've watched a lot of our videos, you may have seen that we've done a few videos with steak. That's partly because there's some interesting things to test with it, and it's partly because we really like steak. And today, I wanted to put a myth to the test. This is something that I've heard for a long time. I've never investigated it carefully, but I wanted to test it out. Here's the basic idea. We have a spread of steak quality, and we're gonna cook them all the same way, but cook them well done. We'll then see if we can identify which is which by taste alone. To understand what we're going to be looking at, we first need to talk a little bit about the different quality levels of steak. In the United States, steaks are usually graded by the USDA at one of three different levels: Select, Choice, or Prime. Select is the lower, Choice is in between, and Prime is the highest. However, there are some kinds of steaks that even go beyond the Prime classification. Although they would be classified Prime, they're actually even better in terms of quality. And there are some that are so low that they barely seem fit for human consumption. Down at this very disappointing end of our spectrum, we have two ribeye steaks, I guess, that I bought at a local dollar store. And I gotta say, I do not recommend buying steak at a dollar store. So each of these pitiful, thin, little, soft, squishy slabs of meat was $1, which is not how much you should be paying for steak, at least not if you want it to be good at all. So I've never had these before, and I think that they are going to be very obviously lower quality regardless of what else we do, but I did want to get them as sort of just a baseline worst grade out there. Then we have a couple of choice steaks. I think this one looks like it's a little bit better than this one, and when I say better, mostly what I'm looking for is the marbling, and that's these little white bits in the middle of the red steak. And these little white bits, these are fat that are inside what used to be a muscle on a cow. And so generally speaking, the more of those that the steak has, the better the steak quality. We now here have a prime, and these ones are actually ribeye just because that's the only thing they had. The rest of these are New York strip steaks, and you can see there's a bit of a difference in the marbling. There's quite a bit more of the fat, and we're not talking about this fat cap here on the side. That just has to do with how the animal is butchered. But yeah, this fat that's running through the red part of the meat, this is what we're looking at. You can see that there's a decent amount on here. This is a pretty good looking steak. Then on top of that, we have this steak over here. I'm sure this would be rated USDA Prime. This is actually what is called American Wagyu. Wagyu is a breed of cow from Japan. This version of it has been bred with American Angus cows, so it's not quite the same stuff you would get in Japan, which is good because that stuff can easily cost over $100 a pound, and this was already quite expensive. But this right here is like truly a phenomenal looking steak. Like, getting something like this served to you in a steakhouse, you would be lucky if you were paying less than like $60, $75, something like that. So here's the gradient we have. Now, most of the time, most places that will serve steak in the United States, if you order a steak, they're going to give you a choice graded steak. This right here is choice. This is what most steakhouses sell most of the time. Getting prime, some places will have it like on special occasion days or for like an extra larger amount of money. Nicer restaurants will carry this. A lot of the time you have to go to a specialty steakhouse to make sure you're getting something that's this quality. And then this, the American Wagyu version, you're gonna have to go to like a specialty shop that will probably be advertising that they carry something like this. The myth is that if you go to a restaurant that says they carry prime and you order your prime steak and you say you want it well done, the myth is that some restaurants will actually give you a lower cut, a lower grade like the choice steak instead of the prime, because once you've cooked it so much that it's well done, you've cooked all of the flavor out of it and you won't be able to tell the difference. That's what we want to test out today. So what we're going to do is, very unfortunately, we're going to cook all of these steaks to well done. And I say very unfortunately because that's not my personal preference of how a steak should be done. I think it does start losing flavor at that point. It's not as tender, it's not as flavorful, in my opinion. So we're gonna test all of these, we're gonna prepare them the same way, we're going to cook them the same way, then we're going to have a group of people taste them and see if they can tell the difference even after it's all been cooked well done. Will our super prime taste just the same as a choice? Will our prime taste the same as a choice? Or will there still be a clear difference between all of these steaks? So we're gonna put a bunch of salt on these and we're gonna let them sit for about 40 minutes. While they're sitting, letting the salt absorb into them, we're gonna start firing up our charcoal grill, and that's how we're gonna be cooking these. All right, we've got our steaks all salted, and now we're just gonna let them sit. And what's gonna happen while that sits there is that salt, it's actually going to pull a little bit of moisture out of the surface of the meat. The moisture will then dissolve the salt, and some of that will actually get pulled back in, so we're gonna end up with a little bit of sort of salty liquid inside the layer of the meat. That adds a lot of delicious flavor to it. While we're waiting, we're gonna be heating up our grill. We're doing a reverse here. We're gonna put it over on this side first. It's hot inside, according to the thermometer on our barbecue, about 350. So we don't want it quite that high. We want it at about the 250 range. We're just gonna let it sit on there until the inside of the steaks gets up to about 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And at that point, we're gonna put it over on the hot side of the grill and sear those suckers, get a nice crispy coating on the edge, and see how this works out. Okay, I think our steaks are right about where we want them. We're now gonna move them over onto the hot side of the grill. We're gonna sear these suckers and make sure they get well done. That's the test. We gotta see if it really makes a difference. Here goes. The question is, how does it taste? So we are going to take these, we're going to slice them up, and we're gonna put them on plates. I'll know which plate is which. And it's gonna be for everyone else to see if they can tell which is which just by tasting it. Maybe this is the good one, who knows? If I had that in like a burrito, I wouldn't be mad. All right, guys, everything's cut and sliced and on secretly labeled plates. You're never gonna be able to tell which is the dollar store one, but we'll see with the rest. Okay, I've got my taste testing crew here. So guys, each of these plates, they're all labeled. I actually have lost track for sure of which is which, but each plate is labeled so we can check afterward. So we just have to taste each piece of steak and see if we can tell which are the higher grades and which are the lower grades. You can also, of course, look at them, smell them, feel them, that's gonna help. I mean, let's get started. You can go kind of in whatever order you want, just make sure you taste all of them and see what you think is the best and which are the different levels. He's making his decision already.
Yeah, okay, Jace, which one did you take? Did you take that one? Yeah. Oh, is it good? Yeah. Yeah?
Be all right on a burrito. That's my thought.
Try. I need to eat a lot of it and not have anything else to eat.
Right, trying this here.
How is it?
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised that something from the dollar store is even that quality.
Seeing the before and the after, I was worried, but I wouldn't say no to it.
So I'm gonna try this one. It's got a really nice flavor.
I mean,
you were
I'm
right
liking this already.
That one's great. Guess this middle one is a grocery store grade. And it's okay.
There is a little bit of
bad.
difference in like the visual too. Like this seems a little like tighter grain than some. Like I honestly have lost track. I think I know, but just looking, this one does seem a little tighter grain than the others.
You want some more of the dollar store one, huh?
Yeah,
Got a winner. I think the more you season it, the better it would taste.
I mean, it's all just got salt.
But it's a pretty bland flavor of meat, whereas this meat and this meat, the meat is flavorful.
So you guys vote first, because I maybe know what things were, but I did mix it up and I wasn't paying much attention, so I've probably gotten confused. So we voted this is the dollar store one.
Lowest grade. This is the next grade up.
You think this is a second? Do you think this was third? I had a hard time telling the difference between these two, honestly. So we had the plates marked. This is the fourth place one. That is in fact the one that had, when we had them all in line, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far we've got 5, 4, and then we've got this one here. That is marked as C1. That's the middle one.
Okay.
There we go. We then have our prime grade, and the one that we all thought was the best was the Wagyu. So,
Wow.
we were correct.
So there really is a flavor
I
difference.
actually had a little bit of trouble with this one here. I did think that this was the prime, mostly for the visual. Like it just seems the fibers are a little bit more separated, which happens when there's more fat in it. I thought the Wagyu one was very clearly better.
Yeah,
I did not
clearly
think
by
that was hard at
flavor,
all.
we all agreed that was the favorite since
Absolutely.
it's gone.
Cooking steaks well done. Can you tell if they've given you a lower grade steak? And our group came to the consensus that yes, you can tell. It still makes a difference even when you've cooked it this much. This is overcooked all the way through by pretty much every chef standard in the world. See how it's just brown? There's like no pink to it anymore. Maybe there are some people out there ordering and they're just like, I want it not even brown, I want it cooked gray all the way through. And that can kind of happen later if you cook it more and more and just, if you turn this into, I don't know, I was gonna say if you turn it into jerky, I feel like even as beef jerky, you'd be like, this is way better beef jerky than that beef jerky. But these are all definitely cooked well done, and we can tell the difference. Well, I'm not gonna say that no restaurant has ever done it, but I'm gonna say that it's not a good idea because you can still tell the difference. For years, we've seen comments on some of our build videos asking whether or not people actually do the projects. Well, we want to make it easier than ever for you to build things along with us. Click the link in the description to find out more. Guys, that's not all. You know, we've always got more for you to see. The box up at the top is going to take you directly to our last video. You should go check that out. The other box is going to show you what YouTube thinks you should be watching next. If you hit this bomb here in the middle, you'll be subscribed to the channel. That way you're never going to miss out on a cool video, especially if you remember to ring the bell so you get the notifications about it. We'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.